Hello there, and welcome to year 2 of the Outatime Film Podcast, where we talk film,
Woo!
TV, games, and all the jazz. Let us know tomorrow. This week, we are talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. My name is Tom, and as always, I'm joined with my co-host, John.
Hey,
This is it. We've been waiting for this Marvel
this is
film
it.
for a while,
Oh
and we're
wow.
doing it.
Ah, ladies and gents, we are so excited to talk about this film,
Definitely.
and we can definitely say this. It slapped. We
It did.
we
It.
we
I
were
was slapped a couple of times. Yeah, definitely. Um,
yeah.
Before we get into it, I should set off the tap off the bat. There are a couple of changes that we're implementing for year 2 of the podcast. So first of all, no news segment. We're going to take that straight out, and we're going to just dive straight into our main topics. We'll still be talking about trailers, but we're going to put them after our main topics, kind of like just before the weekly viewing. This will result in shorter videos and hopefully kind of more concise stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that decision that may or may not work. Tell us in the comments if you like it or not, and we may bring back the new segment if there is enough demand for it. But without further ado, let's waste no more time. John, what did you think of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings? Tell me.
Oh my god. When I was looking at the credits of the film, just scrolling by, I was like, this is amazing. Just like saying it out loud, because normally I don't do that in the cinema, because I'd be like speechless or something. But I just said, this is amazing. Just like I've just been watching some, I don't know. It was just it was an entirely different Marvel film. It was just different. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like one of those you've seen Iron Man for the first time and you go, wow, that was a great film. But then you see Shang-Chi, just go, what the heck? They just topped it. They just yeah.
I mean, I think it's safe to say, for me, this is probably one of the best solo Marvel films. So excluding Avengers, it's probably one of the best since 2017, which is, high praise. But wow. I mean, or is it high praise? Because, Black Widow, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Far From Home.
But
it's been a rocky road.
Oh, yeah. But it is the best solo film for me because I felt it was well balanced.
Like at all, like out of everything.
Like no, not every Marvel film, but like the debut first.
Okay.
Like solo film, not like the best Marvel film of all time, but I mean like just that was just the best debut solo superhero thing out of Marvel.
Certainly is high praise. I certainly there were some similarities of Black Widow that I thought here. Don't worry. This isn't like in a bad way, but in the same way, now, if you watch that video on Black Widow, you will know, our genuine thoughts. But basically, we really liked the opening of Black Widow, and until a certain point in the narrative, and I think that immediately I was captivated by the opening of Shang-Chi, the flashback, the tale of the Ten Rings and of the Mandarin.
Like it got me engaged that quick. Like with the cinematography and Bill Pope, the camera work on this,
he did it, didn't he? Absolute amazing. I'm so proud of that.
Like the opening, between I forgot these between I don't know the father and the mother. The fight. That was just magical. I don't know, just the camera working. Like I'd never seen it before like that, and
there were a lot of action sequences where the camera work really stood out, and I was really happy about that. So many of the Marvel films have action sequences that aren't that captivating or engaging. Quick cut, and in fairness, Shang-Chi did have quick cut action in this film, but I think the action really shone when you got to see all the choreography. You got long takes, wide shots. That really came forth like immediately. I was sitting there like, oh, this is really cool. Like they weren't kidding when they were saying this is like, supposed to pay homage to like Hong Kong cinema.
Yeah, and I can see that definitely with I can. Well, there was like some certain camera work that I saw in anime that kind of had that long camera work. Like it goes like top to bottom, like sliding away, just like seeing the character like fly or something. I don't know, just what I mean, like a swivel. Like maybe 180 degrees thing. Yeah, like that. Something like
there was a specific shot around, I don't know, the end of Act 1 maybe, when they are full spoilers, by the way. So just
spoilers.
get out of the way.
Sorry, ladies and gents. This is spoiler zone.
When they go to the fight arena, I can't remember what country they are, but there's when they're Macau. Escaping via the right. So when they're escaping via the scaffolding, when Katie is hanging onto the bamboo and it's like it's bending, and Shang-Chi sees her, and there is this amazing panning shot, as you said, doing a 180 as he kind of like whips around, like spins around one of the other pieces of bamboo and starts to run towards her. And as I saw this wide shot, I was just like, this is what Marvel needs more of. You know, I'm not being overwhelmed by CGI. It's not like it's not like two armies clashing into each other. There's color. There's lots of like neon color in this shot, and I just thought, this is amazing. This is exactly, what we should be seeing more of. This reminds me of some of the best comic book films where the action really stands out.
Yeah, and I don't know how to describe the camera work. We just talked about the camera work for like 2 minutes now, but it just really stands out the entire film, because the fight sequences and the cinematography as well is just so refreshing to see. And as you said, this is what Marvel needs, and you're right. We do need more of that, and that'll get a lot of people interested. And when I finished watching the film, everyone was commenting on the cinematography, saying, "Oh my god, it is amazing!" So
definitely. Well, Marvel. I don't know. Did you see because when I went to the cinema to see it, I got the Eternals trailer. Did you see the Eternals trailer on the big screen?
Yeah, I got the Eternals trailer.
Right. So when I saw that, obviously Eternals is a lot of it is on location. Chloe Zhao is bringing, it's not all shot on green screen. And I could see in that film, I was like, this is like incredible cinematography already. And I will say in Shang-Chi, there was too much shot on sound stages on green screens. And there were times that, in my opinion, it was quite noticeable, particularly in the San Francisco sequences. There was so much less color, and it was, there was a lot more color grading, and it felt a lot more like your standard gray Marvel fare where, the colors are all muted. And, Shang-Chi is literally wearing a red jacket, but it's not even that red because, the colors are muted. And most of my problems with the film come from like this section after the opening flashback, pretty much until Wenwu until Wenwu's like agents break into the fight arena and they have to escape. I think that section was, I'll elaborate as we go on, but that was definitely the part that I was a little bit less positive on.
Oh, right, okay. Yes.
So
I can see what you're talking about, because sometimes it would be too overwhelming with lots of fight sequences sometimes. But that one, I thought that was really interesting because, with the whole clash of characters, like Shang-Chi trying to save Katie from that, the bamboo falling and then meeting. Yeah, and I can see where you're coming from, but I didn't feel that overwhelmed. But I see what you mean.
Well, as positive as I am about the action, one of the things that I'm getting sick of, and this is a problem with Black Widow as well, there's too much action too quickly.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this film was the second half because the jokes went way down. The action, there was so much less of it. There was so much more color, especially when they went into the mystic realm, whatever its name is. You know, all that stuff. I was like, yes, this is so much more of what I want. But it's like you get the action sequence on the bus, and then you get the two concurrent action sequences in the fight arena, and then the escape from the fight arena. And it's like, to me, you can really take out or make some of those like much shorter, get the point across, and be able to focus on character. In this opening section in San Francisco, I was hit by so many like jokes, and I felt like I was like cringing so much, and I'm really happy because Katie Aquafina, I really like her as an actress. Loved her in The Farewell, and when I
she was in The Farewell.
Yeah, she plays the granddaughter who comes over from America.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I introduced to her character, and she's a lot of jokes, and obviously Aquafina's a very funny person. But I was immediately like, I'm not connecting to this character because there's nothing really there that I can connect to. You've got like some stuff with her family, but there's nothing really below the surface. Every scene that she has is her making loads of jokes, and Marvel loves to have lots of comedy, which is fine, but I was definitely getting bored of that. But what I was so happy about was that her character, basically, give or take, as soon as she finds out that Sean isn't who he says he is, as you would in real life, she doesn't then start to make jokes. She basically stops making jokes throughout the film, and she then becomes somebody who is supportive of her friend, but also critical of her friend. And the relationship changes, the dynamic shifts. And I appreciated that so much. And it would have been like, I would have been a lot more positive if those jokes weren't there to bog down so much of the opening. And then Trevor. Let's talk about Trevor. What do you think about Trevor?
Morris, though, that creature.
Oh, Morris.
Morris. I'm sorry, but that creature was just what the heck. So I didn't mind Ben Kingsley in this one. I thought he was fine in this.
Yeah, I agree. He was fine, but
fine. Yes.
Does he need to be there? No.
No,
like, not really. Like, he's there basically just to tie up a vague loose end from Iron Man 3 and All Hail the King. Like, to me, it was very much like, I don't need you here, and you're not exactly making the experience any better. As I said, I was thankful that Aquafina, Katie, didn't have much comedy, in the second half, but he very much took that comic relief spot, and he had no reason to be there. He had no real kind of like connection to the themes of the film. So yeah, and it's a shame because I love Trevor in Iron Man 3, but I think because it's not Shane Black writing him, and Shane Black is a very good writer. I mean, if you watch The Nice Guys, for example, he's so good at doing comedy, especially. And he brings that to Iron Man 3, which I think is one of the funniest films in the MCU. But I didn't think that Trevor was needed or that funny in this one, to be honest.
Yeah, and I thought, well, after the cinema, I was like, yeah, the characters were balanced. But then as I look deeper into it, like Katie, and then Trevor, yes. Forgot his name for a second. Katie and Trevor.
My name's Trevor Slattery. I'm an actor. Don't hurt the face.
But it was good seeing Trevor, but I thought, it was kind of a bit downgrading the film because, I thought, okay, you could not have him, but, just put him in that prison and, just have that Morris, Morris.
Or have Zhualing. She knows. This is the sister of Shang-Chi. She knows that, she knows enough about what's going on. I think you could just cut out Morris and Trevor and just have her be the one who knows what's going on, I think her character was definitely one of my favorites, because she was so understated. I understood exactly who she was from minimal scenes and many shots of her, in the background. And I think that's the point, because, Wenwu doesn't really care about her as much as he does Shang-Chi, who is his son. And, she feels a bit downtrodden in that aspect. And that obviously will lead into her role in future MCU films. But yeah, I think I did really appreciate that. I think she was well crafted. But yeah, her role could have also filled the role of Trevor and given her a bit more to do. I think that would definitely be. But yeah, there was like some really good character work in general. I think the characters were done really, really well.
Yeah, but well, there were some characters that really were well developed as well. That I thought some character arcs was good as well. Like at the beginning, where Katie and Shang-Chi was talking to the couple about like how the world is changing and you're not growing. I don't on the right lines or something. Like like you're not properly doing anything. And then at the end of the film, they did, and then I thought that was a good.
Definitely, I think throughout the film, Katie's kind of saying she never really fully follows through with things, and then like in the battle, all she wants to do is fight, and when she's given the chance, she actually makes an impact. Albeit it was a little bit of a big impact. Like what, 1 day's worth of arrow training can somehow make you an excellent shot from really far away. And I know that it's made out of dragon scales and probably magical or whatever, but that was a little bit, but yeah, the core of her like arc, I think, was there. And one of the things that I loved about this film, really loved, I thought Wenwu or the Mandarin, whatever we're calling him, I think he's one of the best villains we've had in Marvel. And I really mean that. I really, really liked him. The idea that this is just like a horrible man who finds love, and then when that love is taken from him, is so wrapped up in his own grief that he doesn't, kind of focus on his family and is blinded by this. It's a thing that we've seen before, but a thing that I think really works.
Yeah, and how it really impacts with the audience as well. Like, and like throughout the film, you go, there's no way, like, you're just going to connect with the characters until, when Shang-Chi really talks to Wenwu about like, this is fake. You're not going to get mom back, and how they're going to do it. And then he fully realizes, and does he give the 10? No, he doesn't. Sorry, I thought he gave the 10 rings when he gets soul sucked. But he has that sudden realization while getting killed. So, and this is like the whole film,
and about his final moments. In realizing what he's done, he gives up the 10 rings, the very thing that he has clung onto for so long, and he gives them to Shang-Chi, in those final moments as a kind of like, I don't need these, you can do better with them.
Yeah, and like how you could be a better person than I done, and with the whole throughout the film, like Shang-Chi trying to find himself, trying to find out what's the difference between light and dark, and like how he can fight his father while being himself, because you can see that to that first battle, because he's like kind of a bit scared, but then he fully realizes about himself, and his goals, what he's trying to do for himself, what I mean.
I agree. The whole time there's this moment where he he's about to kill one of the main henchmen, like one of the masked henchmen who gave him like pain for all of his childhood, and you know, he really considers it. And you know, he's been trained to be a killer for all of his life, and you feel that, and then you feel that, you know, when there's one of my favorite just like parts of the film is a montage when they're all training, and so you've got Katie learning to kind of use a bow and arrow. You've got Xiaoling, you know, just training in the day, not at night, just training in the open with her rope knife thing. And then Shang-Chi being taught by his aunt about, you know, the techniques that his mum used to defeat his dad when they first met. And it's just a really good moment of all the characters, you know, realizing that they can, you know, and do stuff that they would never really been allowed to do before. Like, you know, Katie's never really allowed herself to follow through with something, and she finds something she's good at that she practices with. And, you know, Shang-Chi is now learning how to fight less as a killer, but more as like, you know, in a peaceful way, in a way that kind of stems from love. And then Xiaoling is kind of training, you know, being allowed to just be who she is and not having to, you know, do it in the shadows. I really appreciated that stuff. And throughout the film, there are loads of good sequences, like when Shang-Chi explains to Katie about, you know, his life and how horrible it was, you know, being trained to be a killer. And that would have been one of the most powerful scenes in the film. If it wasn't for the air hostess, you know, it cuts from him to saying about how broken he has been by his dad, to the air hostess being like, "Excuse me, would you like beef or would you like vegetarian?" And it pulled me out so much. And again, it was one of those moments where I was just like, God, MCU comedy, stop. It was like, oh my God, please, let's not do this. And this really, like, you know, poignant moment in the film where he's, you know, where we're getting backstory to the character and, you know, we're learning more. I was just like, can we just have a moment without the comedy? And that's just the thing. I think this film would be, like you said, this is your favorite like MCU origin story. This would be mine. It really could be, and it really has them. But there's just too much in there. You know, the comedy, some of the action, you know, that I think, especially in the first half, there's a lot of lacking of holding on moments, you know, just staying with an emotional beat just a little bit, you know, getting to know the characters a little bit before we delve in. The first time that Shang-Chi and Xiaoling meet after years is Xiaoling just beats him up. And it's just like, and then they go to being friends. And it's like, okay, well, there's no point for them to fight. It would have been so much more emotionally resonant if they'd have met and had a heart to heart, and, you know, and you don't even need to have the moment where they fight, you know? And I'm really happy that the second half was as good as it was, because I really think it saved this film from a lot of Marvel tropes. But I still think some of those tropes remained, and that's what, you know, annoyed me.
You got a lot of stuff from that film. I was just mesmerized by the camera work and everything. But I do feel like I digested a lot of stuff, but I thought I didn't mind about the stuff that I watched. But it was just so entertaining to watch.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I did have a really good time, you know.
Yeah.
I think it was a very well paced film. If anything, the middle, you know, might get a little bit slow, but it's something that I don't, you know, that could have easily been fixed. But whatever, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect pacing. I think that was really, really well done. And I think, you know, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, and you know, you said it yourself. The soundtrack is amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday I was talking to you about the soundtrack, and one of the bits when Katie and Shang-Chi go to Macau. I hope I'm saying that right. And one of the songs that plays is called "In the Dark," which got Sway Lee. Yeah. And Sway Lee has done the Spider-Verse song "Sunflower."
Yeah.
And this song just sets up perfectly for the relationship between Katie and then Shang-Chi, but also exploring about the whole film. You know, each of these characters, like what have they been through,
Yeah. Can I just point out, I don't know what they might be setting up for the future, but there was a moment earlier in the film when Katie's grandma said, "When are you two getting married?" And I thought, oh no, these guys are going to get together. Oh, for God's sake. And they didn't get together. I was really happy about that. They didn't do a pointless romance. Instead, they let the characters speak for themselves and stand on their own and have a really good friendship. And if I have a pet peeve in a film, it is when two characters get together just for the sake of ticking a box.
Yeah.
The amount I could list of so many.
And,
kind of, not really in Spider-Verse.
I mean, like that. Well, sometimes when the audience go, "Oh no, I want to get more like the the film is trying to show like these two characters trying to be together, but they don't go at the end." That's
no, right. I catch you. I thought you meant like in Spider-Verse, two people get together, but yeah, it's like in Spider-Verse. Gwen and Miles, what they go through isn't to become lovers, it's just to become friends. Just Gwen can open up and and accept Miles as her friend. It's just like that. Katie and Shang-Chi go through a really, really harrowing experience, and they don't have to then kiss and become together. They're just friends, and
yeah,
I was really happy with that, and I think their chemistry was really good. I think one of the best jokes, like genuinely, it's a long payoff, but at the beginning they have this karaoke moment, right? It was cute, it was quite funny, but when they brought it back in the end credit scene, I laughed so hard. I thought that was great. With Wong.
Yeah, that was great. Like
that was Wong and those two doing karaoke was just much fun.
It was good. It was great to see Wong in another film, because I felt like he wasn't in a lot of films that you kind of see. Like he was in Doctor Strange and then big events, but this just worked.
I quite like that he was in it. However, I have to say, I'm annoyed that they put him and Abomination in the trailer, because the amount that you see Abomination and Wong in the trailer is basically the amount that you see them in the film. Like genuinely, they did nothing, and I just watched it and I was like, there they are, and then they're gone. Like, why do we need that? Like, it's cute, it's fun, but to put it in the trailer, I think is really, really cold. It's just like, oh yeah, we promise you this is gonna happen. It didn't, and it's like, okay, just don't put it in there then. Don't promise me this.
Abomination and Wong. That's an epic fight, but just don't show it, and then it's gonna be there for 30 seconds.
Yeah, if you're gonna show it, it's got to go on for like 5 minutes, maybe at least.
Everyone could have gone crazy in the cinema or going like, oh yeah, this is so good. But no, sometimes trailers just ruin everything, and I try to, avoid, the stuff, I don't know if you like, if it's like the final days, before the cinema, the film comes out, and this is the trailer, and I just avoid that.
People
sometimes
like film studios release so many clips, and I just think it's a bad idea. They released the clip of or a clip from the bus fight in this film. I didn't watch it because I didn't want to spoil it, but I saw people commenting on it on Twitter and being like, oh my God, the action's incredible. The action's incredible. And I'm just like, I want to experience that in the cinema.
Yes.
And I did experience it. And to be fair, I wasn't a huge fan of the bus fight. I thought it was obviously it's a very tight space, and there wasn't as many long takes, there's a lot more fast cutting, and at the point in the narrative where it hits, I felt like I hadn't fully truly got to know Shang-Chi or Katie yet, so that was an issue with that kind of fight, but I digress. Speaking of Wong, what do you think of the mid-credit scene with Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner?
I thought that was really interesting, because it really sets up for Wong being Shang-Chi being in the Avengers. You're going to be a member, and also the crazy thing is that Bruce Banner is back into his normal form.
Yeah. But what? Like what? Sorry. What? Okay. So this is probably one of the most insignificant parts of the film that he is there. Like, does it matter that Bruce Banner's there? Not really. It could have been
Not really.
anyone, but this makes me so confused now.
Yeah.
Honestly. So wasn't the whole point of his arc in Endgame, if you want to call it an arc, it's barely an arc, his character in Endgame. The point of his character is the point of what he's gone through off screen, might I add, is that him and Hulk work things out and now they are one. But no, now he's back as Bruce. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It makes his character in Endgame even more redundant, and that makes me sad.
I was so confused. I was like looking, I was like, Dad, what is this?
What's going on?
Ignore that, because that was just that was stupid. I don't know why they've done that. But anyway,
I have to say though, it makes sense. You know, where we're at in the MCU, 10 years in, it makes sense that, you know, a powerful being comes on and they're like, right, come on, like, you know, come. Wong's going to appear and he's going to tell you everything. Like, that just makes sense. There's, you know, you don't have S.H.I.E.L.D. or anything anymore, so I'm really happy that they just went for it and were just like, okay, you know, Shang-Chi is now a hero, so the Avengers are gonna just give him a little bit of a debriefing. You know, doesn't even have to be all of them, you know, because that's what they would do. Also, has Captain Marvel grown her hair again? What was the point of having her haircut in Endgame? She has long hair again now. Why?
Yeah.
I thought they were going for the whole
I don't know.
Hair from the comics.
No, I have no idea. What was that hair change fashion back in? Okay.
We'll never know. Connectivity.
Right. Okay. Let's ignore that. Let's talk about the central story of this post-credit scene. Wong uses the Ten Ring, and then he finds something in this Ten Ring, and it's like a beacon to somewhere or from someone. So this is really really interesting, because is it going to set up the Eternals, or is it going to Sorry?
It could do.
Yeah, it could do. So I thought you said so now. Or, you know, maybe like it could set up like a different multiverse, you know, where it's coming from. You know, that whole idea of where Shang-Chi's mother was in a different pocket dimension in Lao Tao. No, I forgot the name. Is it Lao?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know how to say the name. But that pocket dimension,
totally be that. I hope. Obviously, the 10 rings will return is the thing that you get at the end of the final credit scene, and the post credit scene is that Xialing is now taking over the 10 rings. One of the things that I hope they do for the sequel is, I don't think they should deal with Xialing's 10 rings in the sequel. Whatever they do in the sequel, I think that should be left for a third film, because presumably they're making trilogies out of everything these days. So I would hope that they wouldn't do the new 10. They wouldn't deal with the 10 rings again. Instead, they would just, you know, have a different kind of adventure before they deal with that. Do you know what I
mean? Yeah.
So one thing that I have to say is the ending of the film. I didn't like it. Now, I loved the battle between Wenwu and Shang-Chi. I thought it was great. Emotional. It had it finished arc. It finished character arcs. It was amazing. You know, maybe if it wasn't filmed on a green screen, then I would have liked it a little bit more. But you know, I got some really good. You know, I got a really good ending there. But then as soon as the door opened and the Soul Eater was released, it just became another CGI, you know, battle. And I was just tired of it, you know. Really, I didn't really need the dragon to be there. Didn't really need the Soul Eater to be there. It was just, you know, an excuse for a big CGI battle to occur. And honestly, I think the story ended well enough with the battle between father and son. I didn't think we needed all that big stuff and a weird excuse for all the warriors to work together. You've got, this whole army of the Ten Rings who then decide to work with, the good army, for lack of a better term, to destroy these Soul Eaters, but I didn't really know anything about the main kind of henchman, Razor Fist or whatever his name was.
Razor Fist. Sounds like Taser Face. You know what I mean?
Does. Oh yeah, it does. That's a good point. Maybe I should. Oh wait, no, Taser Face is dead. They can't meet. Never mind. Maybe in an alternate universe. But yeah, like I didn't know enough about him. Like I don't know where his loyalties lie. Well, I mean, I do, but I don't really know like what his motivations are, whether he has any motivations. Why would he then decide just to join the people who supposedly he has no kind of care about?
Yeah.
Why should he care about? Really, why should he care about helping Wenwu get his wife back? I just think the whole ending just went on too long. There wasn't a point to it. You had the final confrontation. You can then just have Wenwu give up the rings. He dies some other way, and then Shang-Chi takes the rings and he uses it to stop the battle of the armies. Boom. In my mind, I think that's a much more concise way to do it. I think that there was just, if you just have that little ending and then you get the scene with the lanterns where they, send the lanterns out to shore, would have been great. Also, the scene of the lanterns was a really good scene, really well done, really emotional. I really think that's where the film should have ended, not with the bar scene with just a load of comedy and then Wong. I would have much preferred it if it had ended right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like exactly what you're saying. I feel like that the fight scene or the end of it was just a bit. It was dragging on, with everything with the CGI battle, and I thought, okay, that's fine, but just cut out that, and that would have been really good because we just completely understood about the creatures and about like the soul suckers, and and like how it would make the film more on emotional scale, like with everything. So that could have been like a somber, bittersweet ending. So
yeah, I agree. Any day, like any day, emotional stakes will trump scale. Like it doesn't matter if there's a huge army. I'm not gonna feel tense. Or, I'm not going to be fully invested unless they provide something emotional for me to grasp onto. And that's exactly what the end of Shang-Chi had before the Soul Eaters and the CGI monsters flying at each other. That could have improved the film a lot. But at the end of the day, I think that I will remember the final battle, positively.
Yes.
Because I do think it does things that a lot of MCU films don't. I mean, a lot of MCU films struggle with making that. A lot of comic book films, in general, actually struggle with getting their endings to really resonate. And I think this one did that for the most part. And it had like really good motifs in the score. There was some really nice like pieces of music, I thought, that brought the emotions to even more to the forefront, and it displayed love. I think that's what the film's about, like recognizing and accepting love. I think everybody all the characters, have to accept something in themselves or in other people, in order to kind of live happily. And I think that's what the ending, again, for the most part, really did. What I found in this film, though, especially in the second half, it reminded me a lot of Raya and the Last Dragon.
Oh, what?
Do you know what I mean?
Oh my god, it does.
Like with like the big monstrous like black like creature, and then like the dragons coming to save the day. And obviously there's a lot of aesthetic similarities in the music and in the worlds that they're inhabiting. I just thought it was very similar. And putting faith in the villain, like
oh my god, yeah.
Like I thought that was very similar, in fact. So that was wacky, but yeah. do you have anything else to say for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings?
We haven't talked about the performance from Wenwu, the actor.
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
Tony Leung?
Yeah, he was phenomenal in this
He
film.
was. Yeah, definitely. I think all the actors did a really good job. I think Simu Liu is going to be, will take his place alongside other MCU protagonists as a really well-rounded one. I think Tony Leung will definitely be remembered by me and hopefully by other people as one of the better MCU protagonists, definitely in the higher category of MCU protagonists. Antagonists, should I say? And yeah, I think the supporting cast were pretty solid. A lot of the time MCU supporting casts can be really annoying, but this time I thought they were quite well. They were quite well done. Not perfect, but they were, I agree. Really, really solid. Assuming you have nothing else to say, what would you give this out of 10?
I really enjoyed this film, man. It was just so really good. But the two things that I didn't really like as well, like the last fight scene just dragged on a bit. I thought the jokes were okay. I didn't mind them at all, but that sometimes it would spell some like some scenes like you're trying to get into. But the overall thing, I just really loved that this movie had a really strong story, and I really love that, because sometimes with solo kind of films, like Black Widow, that was just horrible.
Yeah, right. For Black Widow, it's like, why do we need to tell this story? What's the if it even has any emotional resonation or any kind of message, it's kind of been buried in the way they've made it. But the emotional message was clear. It expanded the MCU while also telling a personal and emotional story, and I think Black Widow was a lot of setup, and this didn't feel like it was as much of just setup as other MCU projects do.
Yeah, and I thought this just was a very interesting film to start off with. So, like, start of Phase 4, like sometimes they go with that.
Yeah, this is more of a start to Phase 4 than Black Widow was. Black Widow should have been years ago. If this was the start of Phase 4, I'd be starting Phase 4 going, right, let's go. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
This is the proper way, starting the whole thing.
100%.
And I really loved the music. And what else? The CGI was good, but sometimes some fight sequences would be a bit too overwhelming. But it was great to see the camera work, and especially the beginning of the film, that fight that just clicked me in.
I tell you what, I would really like to see that full story that they tell at the beginning of the film, like characterized in some way or another. It's very similar to in Black Widow. I think the more interesting story is about this a family of Russian spies infiltrating America. The opening, the flashbacks of the film, and Black Widow's training. I think that's more interesting than the story we got. Similar, I think the story that we got for Shang-Chi was good, but I would really like to see the story about Wenwu being this tyrant who then gives up the rings, suffers a loss, and then trains his children to be killers. I think that's a very interesting story.
Yeah, but this one was just a strong film, to watch in Marvel, because oh my god, the stuff that we just got from Marvel, Black Widow, WandaVision, Falcon and Soldier, that one didn't drop.
Now that we've got, so this is our fifth Phase 4 entry. I can safely say Phase 4 is good now.
Yes.
Before it was like, I like Falcon Winter Soldier, I like Loki, I don't like Black Widow, I don't like WandaVision. But now that I like Shang-Chi, I can confidently say that Phase 4 is more good than it is bad, and I'm happy about that. So far.
Yeah.
I don't know if What If counts, because that would actually change things.
I think What If is probably a spin-off to something, but
probably
it's
doesn't really count.
Yeah, probably. But it it might. I don't know. We'll just talk about what if in the future if it's
We
gonna
will.
gonna
Well, we
be
can talk about it in
really.
the viewing. So I think
Yeah.
Shang-Chi,
Oh yeah.
I will
Yeah.
say 7 out of 10. It's good and it's solid, and this is exactly when I say the standard Marvel. This is what I want it to be. Obviously, I want every Marvel film to be a 10 out of 10, perfect, nothing wrong with absolutely what I want in a comic book film. But I recognize it's not. This is what I would. This is I put this alongside, you know, things like, just for example, I put this alongside like Doctor Strange, First Avenger, Black Panther, Ragnarok, Thor. Like it's not quite like the boring kind of like, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man, Incredible Hulk. Even though those films have good stuff in them, but it's solid, and this is what I would want your standard Marvel fare to be. It's got a lot of good, a little bit of weak stuff, but like and yeah, I wouldn't say it's as good as like Winter Soldier or Iron Man or Guardians of the Galaxy or even like Homecoming or Iron Man 3, but like I think it's really solid, and I'm really happy people are liking it as well. I'm seeing a lot of love for this online, and I'm not quite as enamored with it as some people are, but hey, I'm happy people are enjoying it.
I would give it an 8 because I was
Nice.
just mesmerized by because yesterday I was talking about the screen thing, and that really changed the whole experience for me because it was a big screen, and it was like full screen, because sometimes with films they would do like a double different ratio, I mean, like smaller, wide. I don't know how to say it, but
well, I think most screens aren't 16:9, but like a lot of films are shot in 16:9, so like you get like the black bars on the top, which is, I always think that's funny, because then people will be like, oh, 4:3 sucks, and it's like, well, you just got bars on the side instead of along the top. Like, what's your problem? Like if you watch an IMAX film, it's all 4:3. Like, shut up. All right, I digress.
Yeah, so 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed this film, but
Brilliant.
yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
Me too. Shall we now move on to talking about No Way Home?
Oh, right. Yes, we haven't talked about No Way Home.
No Way Home. We got a trailer. We finally did. It's ironic because we recorded the Tenet video early, and we probably said in the Tenet video that the No Way Home trailer doesn't come out, but it's out. It's out now. We can finally talk about No Way Home in all of its glory. What do you think of the trailer?
It is crazy, but I might sound crazy for this, but I wasn't too surprised because with everything that I predicted, but it was a bit crazy. But I am intrigued to watch this film.
Really?
So I am definitely going to see this film, and with everything that's happening on there, and this is going to be. I told my dad, "Can you watch this? Can you watch the trailer for this?" And he's like, "No, I don't want to get spoiled." I'm like, "Okay, sure." But but this was, was interesting. Like, especially at the end of the trailer, when Dark
Hello,
comes and
Peter.
goes, "Hello, Peter." So, yeah. But the weirdest thing about the trailer is that Doctor Strange decides to go, "Hey, yeah, I'll help you."
Wait, what's that? What's that I hear? Is it Mephisto?
A Mephisto.
Yeah. Honestly, like I can't believe we're doing the whole Mephisto thing again. I hope it's not Mephisto. This film already has so much in it. You've already got stuff from the Raimi films, from the Webb films, like, even from presumably from the previous MCU films. Doctor Strange is there, Wong is there, even Daredevil might be there. Like, let's just not do Mephisto as well, But yeah, all in all, the thing that excites me the most out of this trailer, it isn't Doc Ock, it isn't Doctor Strange, it isn't Green Goblin or any of that stuff. It's not Daredevil, if Daredevil isn't in it. Daredevil isn't in it, by the way. The trailer was shown on IMAX, and obviously extra. You've got the extra screen, so you could see, the guy who everyone says might be Daredevil, who slams the stuff down.
Yeah.
It's not him, because the IMAX screening showed his face, and it's not him. So if Daredevil's in it, he's not in it. He's not in the trailer. But yeah. The thing that interests me the most is the fact that Peter is about to really experience consequences for everything, for telling other people that he's Spider-Man, for letting other people in. These people are now in danger. His life is in turned upside down. And even when Doctor Strange changes things, he is gonna have to he might have to go back to just having a secret identity, which is exactly what I think he should have. And that's where most of the stakes come in Spider-Man stories, and some of the stuff that the MCU Spider-Man doesn't have quite as much of. So yeah, that's what excites me the most.
And yeah, with everything that's going to happen, with a lot of people, that are rumored for the film, they're just trying to keep it quiet. And it's funny when Jonathan Majors Kang the Conqueror, he was like, no, I'm not going to be Kang the Conqueror, but then he was. So.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think at this point they know. Well, okay, here's the thing. There have been leaks, rumors, whispers of what's going to be in the second trailer. So apparently the second trailer is going to show the full Sinister Six, both Maguire and Garfield, and Daredevil. So they're not, if this is true, apparently they're not even going to bother keeping anything a secret, which is kind of a shame. I would have liked to see it for the first time in the cinema, And yes, I will watch the trailer, but I'm kind of a bit like, I would have liked it if, the first time I saw these things was on the big screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's going to spoil everything, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but in the 1990s,
yes,
that people went to see some films just to watch the Star Wars trailer at the cinema.
No way, what?
Yeah, so obviously you can just watch it on YouTube. So they would buy tickets to random films just to watch the Star Wars trailer, right?
I thought it'd be on TV. I don't know,
they would go to the cinema to watch it. Well, that's what I'm gonna do. If the second Spider-Man trailer releases, I'm gonna go to Cineworld and say, hello, is there a screening where you're showing the Spider-Man trailer? And then I'll go and see Paw Patrol or something just to watch the trailer. I promise I'll do it.
And it's gonna be a bit hard, trying to wait, and then if it's not there, you're just gonna watch a terrible film or a really good film. Just like an accident. You're just gonna. It's like Russian roulette. You're just gonna go blind, and then I'll go to that film, and you don't know what it is.
Tell you what, I'll talk about it in viewing. But this week, I watched a film at the cinema that. Oh no, I really didn't. Right, okay, I'll talk about it later, but it was not what I expected at all. So I understand the feeling, definitely. So yeah. I also think that obviously the No Way Home trailer is now the most viewed trailer ever. I really don't think they need to do another one, do you really need now to show more of the film? I think a lot of people are already sold on this, people will already watch it. They were already going to watch it, but now they will watch it, So you've done a trailer, let's leave it at that. Just start showing it at cinemas. I don't think we need any more, in all honesty. Just because I think they should leave as much as possible to the viewing experience,
Yeah. And everything that's happening in the trailer, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen, but I'm a bit worried about that it's going to ruin some character arcs, especially with Doc Ock. I'm so worried about that.
Well, I think what's important to note is that no matter what happens, no one can ever ruin Spider-Man 2 or any of the other Spider-Man films. If you'd like a Spider-Man films, none of the other Spider-Man films can take that away from you. And that's what I'm excited about. When the film comes out, I'm going to watch all 7 Spider-Man films, and I'm excited for that alone, just to re-experience some of the best comic book films ever and some of the worst comic book films ever. I love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
can't not be excited for No Way Home. I've been skeptical all this time, and I'm still skeptical.
I am intrigued. I am intrigued to see what's going to happen.
Definitely. I'm intrigued, excited, but also skeptical and nervous.
Yes, that's how I'm feeling right now.
Definitely.
Yeah. What else? I think. Well, I was looking to Spider-Man Life Story this week, and like how
a comic that I still have yet to read.
This comic is just amazing. I'm sorry, Tom, but I just gotta say it. Like Spider-Man Life Story. If Marvel does this film, I would give them. I would pay them good money to see this film.
It's safe to assume that Marvel will never make Spider-Man Life Story. Sony might, probably not, but it's probably never going to happen. But a man can dream.
If someone does a Spider-Man Life Story film, I'll pay good money to see it because it is amazing. It is amazing, and I hope they don't ruin some stuff from the comic to the film.
I guess anyway, that is the risk.
Yes, yeah. Right.
Yeah. Shall we move on to viewing then?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll let you start. What have you watched this week?
I've gone back into watching films now. Like it's great.
Cinema.
It's good. Yes, cinema. So the first proper film I watched this week was a film called Bottle Rocket.
Oh yes. This is the first, for those who don't know, first Wes Anderson film. We're gonna be talking about all the Wes Anderson films soon.
Yeah. And I also watched another director's first debut film. First film. Sorry. So Bottle Rocket. This one was directed by Wes Anderson, as Tom said.
Yes. My man. Yes. My guy.
This one was a really good film. With the actors as well. Like it's just so magical to see those characters have the actors have this chemistry, on screen. Like Owen Wilson, I gotta get the cast up because it just works so well with the chemistry throughout the film. And as you told me that Tom, that there was like a whole essay on Martin Scorsese saying how good this film is.
Yeah, definitely. This film was actually a flop.
What?
Didn't do well at all. No one saw it really. And the reason that saved the film and Wes Anderson's career basically allowed him to make more was Martin Scorsese put this in his top films of the year. I'm pretty sure it's 1994.
Oh yeah, Time magazine.
Yeah. So and if you get the Criterion Collection Blu-ray, which I have, you get like a little like essay that he writes about it in the booklet inside.
Oh wow. But the actors in this, like Luke, wait, they're brothers? Luke Wilson and Owen Wilson?
Oh yes.
I didn't know.
Everyone always forgets about Luke Wilson, but I actually think he's my. I mean, Owen Wilson's great, but I might be a Luke Wilson fan.
Yeah, Luke Wilson. Wow, he did great in this one as well, like playing as Anthony, and then Owen Wilson is just like as Diggin.
Yeah,
and if you see those two, and then you got Robert,
my guy, my main man, Bob.
And it's just hilarious throughout the film that he's just driving around, and then one bit of the film, it's not a spoiler, but one bit of the film, like they were talking in the car. And then Anthony was like talking to Robert about some stuff. And then Robert decides to look at Anthony. And then Anthony's like, no, look at the road. Why are you looking at me? Just look at the road. And, sometimes it's just hilarious. And there's a lot of funny stuff that
genuinely, Wes Anderson is one of the funniest filmmakers. His films have such a wit and charm to them. Most people will have seen stuff like, Fantastic Mr. Fox and Grand Budapest Hotel, but like the more you watch of Wes Anderson's work, the more you will come to appreciate what he does.
Yeah. And I thought the film was just perfectly paced with everything that's happening, and it's just hilarious, especially at the end. like this whole sequence, and it was just so funny. It's just such a funny film to watch. What else? I'm trying to think.
Well, it's worth noting that we're gonna be talking about all 10, I think 10 of Wes Anderson's films. 9. I think it's 9. All 9 of Wes Anderson's current films in October. So if you guys at home, just before French Dispatch comes out, obviously. So if any of you guys at home want to watch the Wes Anderson films in preparation, you can find them on Disney Plus and a lot of them on Disney Plus and stuff. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about all of them and ranking our favorites, similar to how we did with Christopher Nolan's films way back last year.
Yeah, and I want to talk more about the film, but it's just been a while since I watched it. But there was a lot of character arcs I really loved in this film, like exploring about them, and it was so cool to explore the world of the film, and like what mishaps can they go what things that could go wrong. I can't speak today, and like things that could go wrong, and about how the way that the movie changes it sometimes, like the characters, like it's funny and then sometimes it gets sad and then it gets wholesome at some part of the film. Just like you just really support these characters, and then like it's just hilarious. Like the whole synopsis is that Anthony and Diggin and Robert, they go and they think they had this massive plan, but then that they're trying to rob something.
They have a 75-year plan.
The 75-year plan. And then the first plan was just to rob a bookstore. This is just hilarious. Like when I first read the blurb, I was just like, oh my god, this film's gonna be great.
Yeah, it is absolutely insane and wonderful, and just if especially for like fans of any director, it's always so like mad when you look at their like first film that they made, and you always see things that they do in their other films, and obviously, like for example, Wes Anderson, Owen Wilson is in loads of his films, so like you already see like little connections and little ways that like his filmography starts in certain places, and it's just so fun. It's so much fun, so rewarding.
Yeah, and like there's not a lot of directors. Well, there are, but not like what Wes Anderson does, because like I've seen their film The Grand Budapest Hotel, and the cinematography and then the directing on that is just completely different. Like how it just works all together.
Oh, you just wait, my friend. You've got some absolute bangers in Wes Anderson's filmography that you're gonna watch. I can promise you that.
I'm so excited to watch them all. And it's just a joy to watch them. Definitely. I think that's Wes Anderson just really understands cinema in a different form.
He does. Like Wes Anderson is cinema.
Yeah, and there's and then a Dennis Villeneuve. I'm going to talk about another Dennis Villeneuve, like 2. I might talk about 2, but I don't know. But I will talk about the first one that he did.
Okay.
Bottle Rocket.
Yeah. So what would you give Bottle Rocket out of 10?
I want to give it a 9 or a 10 because Brilliant. It's just so funny. It is hilarious, and like the acting, and it's just like the dialogue as well. The dialogue was just really funny as well. The one word for this film, hilarious. There you go. Boom. There.
Amazing.
Right. Tom, what have you watched?
Well, as I said before, went to cinema this week after Shang-Chi, did a double bill. You know how it is. And I watched Annette, right?
Oh, Annette! I want to watch this film.
So going into this film, I had literally nothing about it. I knew that it was like acclaimed at Cannes, and I knew that like Empire gave it 5 stars and stuff, and I knew it starred Adam Driver, Marion Cotillard, and it's a musical. What can go wrong? So I watched it.
Wait, it's a musical.
It's a musical.
Oh
yes.
Oh no.
I didn't know it. So yeah, it's important to know. I knew nothing. This film was intense, like one of the most intense viewing experiences I've ever watched. It's a long film, goes on for a very long time, and is basically about these two people. One is an opera singer, one is a comedian, and they fall in love. And it's just about their life together, and they have a baby girl called Annette. And it's kind of about their relationship with each other and with her. And the music is actually done by Sparks, who, very famous musicians.
Sparks.
Yeah, Edgar Wright just did a documentary about them. And the film starts with an amazing song, like a really, really proper like musical banger called So Shall We Start, I think is the word. No, So May We Start, should I say. And I was sitting there like, this is going to be great. This is going to be like La La Land. This is going to be like, proper top tier musical. And it was not what I expected at all. The film is like a psychological, mind-bending, film that is proper like art house cinema. The baby, I'm not going to give away too much, but the baby, it just blew my mind in so many ways, and it wasn't a fun film to watch. No way. It made me so sad and so anxious and on edge and all these different emotions, but it was amazing. It was absolutely brilliant, and it was captivating. It's the kind of film that I never have any desire to watch again, but I am gonna think about it forever, because it doesn't have intervals in between the music. It's all music, all for 2.5 hours, and
2.5 hours.
It feels like a stage play, in the way that it's framed, in the way that the music is. And I think it will be better on stage, in all honesty. There was a point in the film when I would have very, very much appreciated an interval if halfway through they were like, okay, go get some snacks and go to the toilet. I would have been like, thank you. But like, yeah, the film is very intense and deals with like exploitation and toxicity, and strangely delves into like the culture of comedy, and it's just crazy, and the kind of film that I really just can't wrap my head around as much as I try. So
oh wow,
it's just a cautionary tale. When you go to the cinema, know what you're watching, like you understand what you're watching, okay? Because this is like, I was so unprepared. I thought it was going to be an hour and a half. It was 2.5 hours. I was so tired by the end of it. I had to walk home. It was painful, right? But yeah, it still was amazing. I think my only critique was it was just long. It just was long, Sometimes a critique of a film isn't anything profound, anything that you would want to improve. It's just I wasn't ready to watch something so long. I just watched Shang-Chi. I hadn't even had lunch yet. It was just, it was tough. It definitely was tough. But nonetheless, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. And fans of musicals, you probably want to skip this one, because it's not like La La Land or The Greatest Showman or any like musicals I've ever seen. It's a proper like avant-garde, art house, psychological, pretty intense film. So yeah, it's great, but watch at your own peril. So yeah, if you plan to watch it, John, definitely good luck, buddy.
I mean, sometimes with dark or intense stories, I would be different by be traumatized or something, with exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
But I might or might not. Right. So
yeah. So what else have you watched?
I have watched Dennis Villeneuve's first ever film that he's done, and This film is called Polytechnique, and this was founded by the BFI, and it also had a booklet about the film inside the Blu-ray, and this film was also used for film studies in the BFI, and everyone was using this film to and analyze everything about it. So Polytechnique is about a school shooting that happened in 1989 in an engineering school in Montreal, Canada.
Wait, is it a true story?
This is based on a true story.
Nice.
It was inspired by a true story.
Cool.
And it's about a guy, the school shooter, who has a hatred for feminism and women as well. He thinks really low about women, and it's just haunting, how he thinks about that. And in this based on a true story, based on a true story, and the school shooter killed 19 women on that day.
Oh,
and yeah, and he killed himself in the school shooting. So this was a haunting film. It was just dark, and it was intense, super intense, with everything that was happening. And the sound design was just loud every time there would be like a massive thing that just happened. And then it takes on perspectives on the people that happened, but these characters are fictitious, so you don't know. You do know the names, but these like the perspectives, and then you can see this perspective on the school shooter, and then you see this the perspective of the people that were affected or got shot by it. And with the editing and the sound, it just worked really well. And I just couldn't believe this was just Denis Villeneuve's first film, because it's unbelievable to watch with everything that just happened. And it was, I don't want to say like, oh, the film's great because we're talking about like with everything that just happened, but it's a dark film. It's just everything that just happens in this, and it will keep you think about it. And the ending of the film just works everything for it. And with the characters also fictitious, but it also just gives us reminders about the world that we're living in. And with the acting and with that happens in the film, is just too realistic, and it's just like, oh my god, it just throws you off. And in a good way. Like the start of it is just like just shooks you, like you're just being shaken by it, and it's just like, oh my god, this is the film that you're going into. And with there was like time conventions in the film that I really liked. Like it just worked up that all the way to the point of the film. And what was I going to say? I'm glad that it was like fictitious, because it was like more about the central characters and like on the journey where they're up to. And there was like a whole message about it. And it was interesting that how Denis Villeneuve used the title Polytechnique in this, because it was like an engineering school. And I think the definition of Polytechnique, so the definition of Polytechnique is, so it's like an institution for higher education offering courses at a degree level below, like in vocational subjects. So like this is an engineering school, and it was more focused on their life, about what they're going to do. And in that time, in 1989, it was different, because there's like a rise of feminism, and like how women are going to be independent, and how men are just going to change their views on them. And this just worked up, like how not worked up, but like with the school shooting, about like how it affects everyone, and then how it's going to do that. And the mind blowing about this bit is that Denis Villeneuve filmed the entire film in French, but also he did it in English.
Oh, wow. That's
and he was so hardcore about that. He just decided to do that in 2 versions.
Damn.
And the versions are the same, but it was just the dialogue that was like, a bit different with the English and French.
Oh, that definitely sounds really intense. So yeah. What would you give it out of 10?
It's a very intense film, but I am going to give it a 10 out of 10, because
Brilliant.
it was his first film. And
yeah, as we said with Bottle Rocket, seeing a director's first film is like such a weird thing if you've seen like their other stuff.
It's like going through the photo album for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, Tom, what have you watched? I watched an intense film, and you watched an intense film. What have you watched?
Well, this isn't so intense, but I finished Monsters at Work, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. Did you watch any more of it?
No,
Right.
I
Okay.
I
So
stopped.
obviously we talked about episodes 1, 2, and 3, or what, a couple of weeks ago. Um, yeah, it didn't get much better. It didn't.
Oh no.
I mean, I don't know what I
Uh,
expected really,
right, time to
but
get out of the building.
it was yeah, and that's it. It just kind of it was the same, and it's a shame because there was a lot of potential, and I don't know if they're making a season 2, but the best episode was the finale because what the finale did, number one, it ended like at the same time as Monsters Inc. So Monsters Inc. ends with like the laughter celebration where
Yes. Yeah.
like Mike's on the magazine and stuff. Well, that's basically how Monsters at Work ends. Obviously it's not exactly the same because it's not really about Mike and Sully, so they focus it on the angle of the new characters. But and what that episode does is it focuses a lot on the struggle they built up in the main protagonist, where he's thinking, do I want to be a mifter or a jokester? And they do it really well in a nice way. But the unfortunate thing is that apart from a couple of characters, most of the characters are so shallow, and all they have to them is their one personality trait that is repeated over and over. And it's just and that's where I think things become such a shame, because the show rarely explores any of these other characters any deeper. And when it does, it's one episode long. One episode a character will be explored, and then the next episode they're back to how they were before. And I think that is what really holds this show back from being as good as Monsters Inc. or even Monsters University. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to watch season 2 if there is one. But it was fun. I can tune in 25 minutes every week. I think I don't have much to say about it, but I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It wasn't great, but you know what? I'm sure kids will like it. It's not for me, I guess, at the end of the day. So yeah,
Oh well.
actually, there's something that I want us both to talk about here. And I don't know if you've watched any more, but have you watched any more What If?
Yes, I have.
Right. So last time we talked about episodes 1 and 2. So I'm interested what you thought about episodes 3 and 4.
So episode 3 was okay because we've just been through like what if what if they go through like the killings of the Avengers members.
Yeah, I believe the episode's called "What If Earth Lost Its Mightiest Heroes."
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, and it's all set on Fury's big week in which Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk, and Thor basically all take place.
Yeah, and this one, I thought it was a really good concept because like Fury's big week, the members are just getting killed off, but the one thing that really just kind of throws me off a bit was just the inconsistent voice acting a bit.
Yeah, but, I understand that. It is a bit, weird when you got the actors from the films who are sometimes doing a good job, sometimes not. And then you've got the actors of, who are actually like talented voice actors who kind of know. I think the thing is that I really enjoyed the first half of this episode where, you're killing off all the different Avengers and, we're replaying events. But then I feel like towards the end, they kind of struggled bringing it all together. Yeah. And that was a shame. But as we said, a couple of weeks ago, episode 1 wasn't very good. Episode 2 was slightly better. Episode 3, I think, was the best out of the 3. But episode 4, I think, was the first like solid episode. Like I would actually say episode 4 is like a good episode.
Oh, this episode 4 was just
a lot of people definitely have been saying about how episode 4 is, the best of the show, and I agree. I wouldn't call it the best of the MCU. Some people are saying it's some of the best MCU content. But yeah, I really liked, seeing that. I really enjoyed, the idea that Doctor Strange. I think obviously the best sequences are where he goes back again and again to try and save, Christine. And, each time you see him getting more and more desperate and trying things to try and save her. But, it never seems to work. you know, and then you've got the sequence at the end where, you know, the evil Doctor Strange fights the good Doctor Strange, and, you know, the evil Doctor Strange is such a broken person. I loved all that, but I think in the middle it kind of like struggled to kind of connect itself with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But this one was just heartbreaking to watch because, you know, it really just connected us on another scale, and especially like the stuff I've been reading about love this week, especially a film that I've been
all you need is love, am I right?
Yeah. But yeah, it was like more about, you know, Doctor Strange, about going back in time and trying to save his girlfriend or wife. The girlfriend, I think.
Just love interest, I guess.
Love interest, and that how like he really loves her, and like how committed he is. But then he goes into a downward spiral, you know, trying to save her again and again and again, but he fails. And then I did not expect the episode to be like this. At the end, I thought it's going to be happy, but no, it just went dark.
I think it shows the versatility of the show. You know, 4 episodes in, it can tell very different stories. I hope that this week's episode is still better, and I hope the show continues to get better, because they could really use this concept to their advantage and tell some really interesting stories. But I think aside from episode, you know, some of the concepts, aside from some of that stuff, they haven't really told anything that was overly, you know, unique, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you know, it was just like one of those rare Marvel stories that you can read in graphic novels, and it just takes on an emotional approach.
Definitely.
And it goes really sad, and then, you know, understands like the fundamental of the characters, like what their aims, and then, you know, what if that happens, and then it just works really well. It's just experiments on a different scale. So yeah,
definitely. So do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I got one confusing film to talk about.
Okay.
And it's more confusing than Tenet. It's more confusing than Inception.
I don't believe you.
Okay, so this film is called Enemy, which is another film directed by Dennis Villeneuve, and it's got Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay,
I've heard of it.
Okay. So I don't know how to review this film. I have no idea, because
maybe in a quick and concise way, because we are running out of time on this Zoom call.
Okay. The film's confusing. There's a lot of characters that really they push the story, but then it didn't push the story. And then I was like, "Oh, this is great. It's good. It's good so far." But then there's sometimes it will just get too confusing, and then the ending just changes the whole story. It is so confusing. I'll give it nothing else. Nothing else does. No, I don't know. I actually don't know. It's so confusing. I can't even talk about it. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay.
I'll. You know what? I'm gonna watch this one, so I can talk to you about it, because it, you know, so you can help you. I'll see if I watch it. Okay.
Yeah.
Time. Okay, right. I hopefully I can talk about a couple things. Quickly. So last night I watched Casino Royale. Getting ready for No Time to Die. It's great. One of the best James Bond films, like just in general. It's so good. You know, it really, you know, has like a cockier and younger Bond. I think that really works. The action scenes are great. The music's awesome. Really like the villain, and, you know, the way that the plot escalates. But I don't really buy the relationship between Bond and Vesper, who's the Bond girl. I kind of think that is a bit of an outdated trope at this point. But there we go. Okay, another thing I want to talk about. Not really anything to say, but I watched the new Cinderella and it sucks.
Okay. I started watching Your Name. I'm halfway through the film.
Oh, it's amazing. It's incredible. I can't
wait to watch more.
Yeah, it's incredible. Oh, I also started watching Daredevil, because No Way Home. Daredevil's great. It's amazing. Everyone was right. It's awesome.
I finished watching Collateral. Great film.
Oh, yeah, good.
7 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we roll it out?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, take us out.
Okay, and thank you, ladies and gents, for listening for this podcast. It's been wonderful to talk about Shang-Chi and other films as well, especially No Way Home. And don't forget your mask to go to the cinema. Wash your hands, and just make sure that when you meet friends, make sure that you're social distancing, and make sure that you're taking tests. Anything else, Tom?
If you want to get in contact with us, you can at outatime at gmail.com, or follow us on Twitter or Instagram at Outatime Film Pod on both of those, or follow me on Twitter at Tom the Bodman. And next week we're going to talk about Rick and Morty season 5.
Oh boy, I can't wait. Okay.
Lubba dub dub.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, did you see that they're also doing live action Rick and Morty, and it makes me feel it's weird. I don't know why.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that. But anyway, okay. Take what you're giving.
Give nothing back.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.